In today's video, I want to discuss why I think all event photographers should consider street photography. Whether you want to try it out and see if you like it or adopt it as a practice, it can really benefit your photography skills as an event photographer. I think it's really common for people to want to create order, to categorize things, create arbitrary divisions between different things. And while that does serve a purpose, when we do that, we can often miss that there are actually a lot of similar things between two different genres. One such case would be street photography and event photography. While the formats are going to be entirely different, and there's so much more to event photography than just doing street photography at an event, fundamentally the skills involved are actually the same. So let's first start with what those skills are. So number one, observational ability. Being able to navigate crowds would be another. Being able to read people and predict smiles and interesting interactions, getting good timing, just roaming around a scene and knowing how to position yourself in that scene to get the best shots with the best lighting. All of it will apply to street photography as it would to event photography. Next, I want to talk about why I think if you're a new photographer that's curious about event photography, why I think you should try street photography. It felt like a mouthful. If you're curious about event photography and you're not able to start shooting events quite yet, maybe you're putting out some feelers amongst your friends, maybe you started contacting established event photographers asking if you can assist. One way you can get a really good handle for what the skills involved are going to be, although there are going to be a lot more, would be to try street photography. You're going to see, do you really like documenting people doing things? Do you feel you have a knack for it? Do you feel like you're going to be able to learn it, adapt to it, etc.? What if you're a working event photographer that's not quite as busy as you'd like to be, but you want to continue to build your skills? Well, again, street photography is an excellent way for you to stay sharp and on your toes and practice the exact same skills that you would be using while shooting events. You know, I really think about photography as a practice, and like anything, the more you do of it, the better you're going to be. And I'm not just talking about long-term growth. I'm also talking about in the short term. So anyone that's ever played a sport knows if you take a week or two off, you feel a bit off when you return. The same thing will happen if you have a lot of space between your professional jobs. The longer you do anything, however, the less rusty you'll be, because it's so much you're in your natural environment kind of thing that it just clicks faster the longer you've been doing it. But I'm telling you guys, even after doing this for 13 or so years, when I'm shooting more, I feel more on fire going into each job than when I've had a long time off. If I've had a long time off, I feel a little bit slower, like I have to warm up a bit when I show up to a job. Street photography can be a great in-between to kind of keep you sharp. Next, I want to talk about why I think an experienced event photographer could especially benefit from street photography. So first of all, burnout is real. If you do this long enough, if you're not finding new ways to be creative, and if you're not embracing your own personal work, you will burn out. But you also don't want to completely abandon the skills that are involved in event photography. But when you do street photography instead, you're kind of just changing the game. You're using the same skills, but you're now doing it for yourself without obligation to anyone but yourself. This gives you an opportunity to completely try new things, to be unchained, and to challenge your belief systems about what photography should look like. I think as professionals especially, we kind of subconsciously formulate an idea of what a professional image looks like. But when we do street photography, we can take all the skills involved in event photography and try to apply them in different ways. Try completely new things that we would never try necessarily, or have time to try perhaps at a professional event. I've actually had things I've tried in my street photography eventually bleed into my professional photography. I try new things, but I also do shoot stylistically differently. Here's a good example. With event photography, I don't think there's anything wrong with completely blowing out my backgrounds, isolating my subject, etc. When I do street photography though, I have a very opposite approach. I actually think the more depth, the better. I want to show the whole scene. I want it to be more like what your eye would see compared to what a camera sees. Now, I have to stop myself here because the truth is that even the human eye has to focus on one thing at a time. We pull focus as well as the camera, but you guys get the idea. Now the observer can look at an image and they can choose where to focus rather than be limited to what you want them to focus on. It gives the viewer more choice. It creates a more lively scene, and it's harder. It's a fun challenge as a supplement to actually just shooting events. It can push you to be even better. All right, that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to support this channel, please consider checking out my Patreon page. Again, my Instagram is @retrograding and @mickmillman if you want to check out my professional work. I appreciate you guys watching. Until the next video.